Hey guys, it's Wally with the Misadventures. And before we get started today, I want to take some time to do something new that I want to do before every Destiny video that I do. And that'll be bringing you guys one neat little trick or tip that I found that has made the game easier to play. So, did you know that when that little icon in the right hand corner appears, your ghost is actually trying to tell you he's looking for something? So if you pull him out, you'll notice he isn't actually looking at you. Instead, when you're within range, what he's going to do is he's going to be looking at an item that you can interact with. So if you're having trouble finding something, just look the direction that your ghost is looking, and you'll find it there on the ground. Makes life nice and simple. Now, let's get to the main subject of today's video. Loot farming. In particularly, a loot farm for tokens on Titan that I have tried to refine and get as smooth as I can. And while it still may have some issues, those issues mainly stem from the fact that you'll be picking up so many chests so quickly that the game decides to stop giving you items out of those chests. And while that can be a large inconvenience, there are a couple things you can do to fix it. Namely, reload the sector that you're in, fast travel to your new location that you're already at, or go do something like a lost sector, or just go a zone over and come a zone back. Any number of those things can really sort of help to narrow it down. Sometimes it's just a good indicator that you should take a break, and you should go turn in all the tokens that you've actually collected. No matter what you do, just be sure, take your nice, good, sweet time, and even just kill enemies along the way. The enemies will give you glimmer, and they give you chance for drops while you go about your business, so it certainly doesn't hurt to kill them. Now, one of the big things with this grind is its sole purpose is to go for chests, but you should take every available opportunity that comes up to get tokens. And we'll touch on that a little bit more in a bit, but for now, starting from that little fan on the ground, you're going to want to start by going out and coming to your left. Now, every place that I'm going to be shooting here will be an area that a chest can appear. So as you run up and approach this direction, make sure to look on top of that, because there'll be a chest up there that'll profile itself quite nicely, and this will save you some time from having to jump up there to see if the chest is there, and it'll just make your loot runs smoother. So we're going to proceed along the path here, and like I said, I'm going to keep marking each location that a chest could appear. Just got to take out these guys here real quick. They're kind of being troublesome, and like I said earlier, never hurts to slow down and just kill the random ads that appear, because as you can see, it gives you some glimmer, and as minute as it may be, after loot grinding for a while and farming these bits of glimmer, that's going to add up. And we all know that modifications in this game are just glimmer hogs, so never hurts to have a little bit of spare on your hands. Now, something big that I need to cover before we get too much further along the way here is this is only for chests. While you can farm the alkane with this, I really don't recommend it. Like I said earlier, with there being problems with the game thinking that you're picking up too much stuff and no longer giving you rewards out of chests, it'll do the same thing when it comes to picking up some of the alkane. And when that breaks, it'll also break your ability to pick up things out of chests, which is what the whole point here is. So if you can't pick anything up, you're just wasting your time. So don't bother with the little alkane buds. They just aren't worth it. Now, you'll probably notice I have been marking a lot of locations that chests could be in, but there don't seem to be that many chests. Biggest thing that I can think of that the game is doing is it groups the map by region, and the more you do this, the more you'll start to notice these little regions appear, and you'll generally only find one chest within that specific region. So I'm marking all of the known chest locations that I know of where they will spawn, but bear in mind, just because it's a location doesn't mean it's going to have a chest, and very often as you proceed to get faster with this grind, if you find an area that has a chest and you know it's in this region with all these other spawn points, you can just ignore it. Leave the region and move on to the next area. With all this farming of chests going on, there are other things that you can do for tokens. And as if on cue, we now have a public event entering. This is going to be one of the big things that you can do in this area that'll also give you a bunch of extra abilities to get tokens and loot. Because while we are after those tokens primarily with this, never hurts to get a legendary or an exotic engram out of a chest. A big area that you're going to want to check while doing this grind are going to be these two side channels, the one we're running on right now and the one that we're crossing over to. Don't worry, we'll check the one that we were running on in just a moment, but before you jump up to this next platform, you want to make sure to at least throw a glance over to your left to see if there happens to be a chest. Because, as you just saw, sometimes there is, and if you don't grab it, then that's one chest that isn't going to be respawning for one of those regions. Back to the topic that we were just discussing though, other things that you can do to give yourself tokens while trying to do this farm will include public events, high value targets, and scavengers. There are two public events that happen on this particular section of Titan. One of them is a hive ritual, which is the one that happens to be going on in the background right now, and then the other is a spider walker. Take every advantage that you can to go complete these, because like I said before, it slows you down, it prevents the game from thinking that you're getting too many chests too quickly, and breaking your loot grind. Now, as you can see, this is where I am taking the time to check back across the way and see if there was another chest over there. Make sure to do that, like I had already mentioned. If you don't, you might miss a chest, and then the chest will never respawn for the region that you're trying to loot, and you will just sell yourself short. Now, the next option that you can do for farming tokens are going to be these high value targets. This particular one happens to be a fallen captain. He'll appear and he'll circle along the map in a nearly identical pattern to your loot grind. Unfortunately, he is going the same direction as the loot grind. I wouldn't necessarily suggest trying to go the opposite direction, because some of the chests you won't see quite as well, but you should be going around the loot grind fast enough that you will catch him if he spawns ahead of you, or if he spawns behind you, you'll lap him. Now, ordinarily, I just run past these guys, but they were going to be a pain, so I just decided to try and take them out. You're going to want to run into that little room, drop down, and check that corner cubby right there, because that can have a chest. And it's one of those hive-covered chests, so be sure to look for the green glowing light from the keypads off of those chests, because if you don't, you might miss it. After that, hop up here and take a look there to see if there's a chest. Now, this is a hard part. There are a lot of areas that chests can spawn out here, and so I'm just marking some of the general ones. You can get them up above, you can get them down below, you can have one way out there hidden kind of behind the pipes, and sort of all around and in between. But it's open enough that as you jump over it, you should see them if they're actually there. So don't feel too bad about not knowing the exact locations. They should kind of stand out to you and not be too terribly difficult to see. On that topic, though, there are a couple of things that you can do to help with this loot grind. Cade sells a treasure map, and that treasure map will reveal all chest locations to you for 4 hours. It does make this significantly easier to know, hey, yeah, there's a chest, and as you run this little loot grind, you come within close enough proximity to all those chests that they're all going to light up on your HUD, and you shouldn't have a problem seeing them at all. One of the other things that you can do if you don't feel like giving Cade any of your hard-earned glimmer is if you happen to have a ghost shell. The ghost shells can do the exact same thing as Cade's map. They're a permanent fixture, and they work really nice. If you can, I highly suggest getting the ghost shells that reveal cache locations and give you 10% additional glimmer, as that'll also be a large benefit to your grind. Now you'll see I just jumped down in order to get that chest, but ordinarily what you're going to want to do is when you're back on this platform, you don't want to jump down there. You're going to want to look down there to see if there's a chest, but otherwise just carry about and cross over the top like this. And once you're here, you're going to want to check these other locations for chests in front of you. The biggest advantage to staying on top like this is you get to see all of the locations where a chest could be in front of you, and then just carry about and not have to worry about trying to jump up. It runs really smooth, it's really quick, it's really easy, and it'll just save you time in the long run. As you can see there, since we were just killing ads, I got a blue engram. And that's one of the other things that you can get from this loot farm. Not only will you get the tokens, which you can turn in to get legendary gear, which after a while you start to get so much of, you might as well just scrap it and break it down. That'll give you legendary shards, it'll give you gunsmith components, you'll get blue gear that you can break down for gunsmith components. It's all around gives you a lot of stuff. You get your XP for your bright engrams, and you always have the chance of getting legendary and exotic engrams out of chest drops themselves. So, no need to spend money, and you get free gear. So once you've reached this point, you're probably thinking, hey, that's it, I'm done. I can just continue on, go up there. No, you would be wrong. You're forgetting one other major region and room that can spawn loot, and that's the center area. Now, I like to come around to this back door because it helps me with the way that I prefer to run this grind, but you could, in truth, come through the front door just as easily. Anyways, once you get in here, once again, we've got a bunch of baddies that we've got to kill. Oh, so annoying. Wish they would just explode. There we go. Easy, easy. Now, come over here, take a look, and this is the only way that you can see it. Just the nice glowing green lights, because it's a hive-covered chest, and that means it doesn't like to reveal itself at all. But anyways, make sure to check there, check behind you, throw a glance in the middle there, because sometimes the chest is literally right there, and it took me forever to figure out that. Then come up to where the ritual would be, and check these side channels. Sometimes the chests like to be sneaky and spawn up there as well. Other than that, you can check right there, or as you would leave, check behind you, and it'll be right about there. And that's it! Congratulations, you have successfully completed an entire loot grind cycle on Titan. Exit the door, and run towards those containers. Make sure to throw a glance up above you to check for that profile, and that's all there is to it. So the last thing I want to go over is gear. And I do think that there is a specific set of weapons that you should at least use that'll help maximize your efficiency while doing this grind. And the first one is Risk Runner. Since there are so many Fallen, and Fallen love to use arc damage, its perk there, Arc Conductor, means you're never going to run out of ammo. The second thing that you're going to want to get yourself is a arc damage sword. Could be any type of sword in the game. You see I've got a couple here. But just make sure it's arc damage. Those work really beautifully at taking out those fallen scavengers and those high value target captains. You just blow through them with those weapons. So that's all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's been my pleasure to entertain you this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and do a total loot run now at about full speed and give you guys a chance to see what it would look like on a normal average basis. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section below, and I will do my absolute best to answer them for you. Otherwise, from all of us here at the Misadventures, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys after a while. Take care.
Nope.